Two visionaries, capable of the impossible, guide the promise of a utopia through their architectural marvels. Let's have a deeper look on the Stamatin brothers in the game Pathologic. Before we go any further, as with many things on my channel, I'll be talking about things that are revealed only later in the game, so there's a big spoiler warning for the rest of the video. If you don't want spoilers, then stop right here. With that out of the way, let me tell you about the Stamatins. In the town of Pathologic, one of the most important looking places is this huge, spinning tower thing that sort of just juts out of the earth. You eventually find that this amazing structure is made by these two twins. One, Andre, you can find at the bar, and the other, Peter, you can find in his loft nearby. The Stamatins actually have quite the repertoire and have built a few other wonders, even though we never really see them ourselves. Apparently, they have built the Cold Hall, the Downgate, the Alley of Heroes Ensemble, the other stairway around, the House, the floating stairways around the town, and of course, the Polyhedron, the tower itself. Despite these amazing works, the Stamatins do have a few pretty dark secrets. One of the major ones involves the creations themselves. The Bachelor's response upon reconnecting with Andre, yeah, it actually turns out they're old college buds, proves that their works are quite prolific and popular. But Andre admits that the countries themselves weren't really very happy about it. It turns out that both Andre and Peter are marked for death and are worried about them being hunted down, even though they seem pretty relaxed about it. The second dirty secret involves an architect friend by the name of Farcod. Farcod was from a group called the the One-Techs, who were responsible for building most of the town itself. Farcod built the cathedral, Stillwater, and some various other buildings. And in the game's development notes, the devs describe Farcod as using a horizontal architecture to the Stamatin's vertical one. He believed that a house that would fulfill Simon's objective would not be a tower. On the contrary, it must provide grounding and roots. Despite the Stamatins working closely with Farcod initially, it's clear that these architectural differences in their different design strategies made them clearly pissed off at one another, and it all came to a head with Farcod dead. The craziest thing about all this is that Andre and Peter totally got away with it. Saburov, one of the ruling families, is pretty sure that Peter did it, even though it was probably Andre because, you know, he's apparently quite good at knifings. So, even though the Stamatins have made some crazy things, they have to face down Hitman and Saburov being a dickhead. As usual. As I mentioned previously, it turns out that the Bachelor and Andre went to school together, most likely in health science, because the Bachelor would probably be doing that. In fact, one of the first conversations you have with him as Daniil is how they got into a drunken bar fight and fended people off. This, accompanied with the fact you always find him in the bar, shows that he cares a lot more about enjoying in the earthly pleasures. In his dialogue, he talks about violence in a very gleeful way, but is also extremely supportive and will stand by you. He speaks in very grandiose, sweeping ways that inspire others if they weren't so goddamn corny. He differs a lot from his brother and speaks a lot more concretely and realistically, and admits that he's the battering ram that clears the path for his brother. This hints that Andre himself, despite being so brash, really and deeply cares about his brother. Andre even says that it's okay if he dies as long as Peter, his brother, lives. It can be inferred that Andre even quit going into health science just so he could help out his brother, protect him, and help him realize his dreams. Peter, on the other hand, is the quintessential artist. An idea pops in his head and he follows it. He's the one that mainly has the ideas and the lofty goals, but doesn't have the realism that his brother has. When talking to him, it feels like his head is in the clouds. Not because he isn't all there, but because he can see things up there that no one else can. That or he's just drunk out of his mind again on Twirine. Unlike Andre, Peter seems to not like his brother. Most likely this is because of the whole murder thing, but in any case, Peter seems to want his brother gone. In the game, the Stamatin brothers are grouped together with the Utopians, who want to push ahead, break the boundaries, and forge a new world. The Canes are the ones that are the most vocal about it, preaching the importance of the future. The Stamatins are important because they're capable of actually putting in the work to make that dream a reality. As Mr. Mike eloquently states, the Stamatins are a stand-in for the people whose job it is to actually execute utopia. The utopia the Canes seek to build cannot be realized without the work of skilled craftsmen and laborers. Daedalus also does an excellent job comparing the Utopians to SpaceX, with the Canes as Elon, and the Stamatins as a skilled engineering team. If you're going to check out the full Reddit thread, which I got a lot of inspiration from for making this video, links in the description. The Stamatins are crucial to building the world of the future, even despite their creative rut right now. Andre is fierce and energetic, but his fiery temper often brings trouble to him and his brother. Peter is an artist and a designer, but has no chance of building his wonderful creations without his grounded brother. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you want to watch me play Pathologic and some other games, go check me out on Twitch. And if you want some updates, follow me on Twitter. And all the links, all down below. So I'm going to close out the video here with some quotes on the Stamatins from other characters so you can get a better feel for them. I'm quite fond of Andre. The twins are the two sides of a single whole, but Andre has the capability to execute Peter's fantasies and designs. He is resolute enough not only to admit the possibility of the impossible, but also to implement it through persistent, creative work. My uncle is quite capable of the former too, but the latter... A personality like Andre's deserves nothing but admiration. Without Andre's boldness, Peter's vivid imagination would have only existed on paper. It's a shame that the duo is in decline right now, really. Peter is a habitual drinker, and Andre wastes his life on debauchery and ruthless feasts. Dormant periods are common among creative people. They emerge from them carrying the prey of new discoveries in their teeth. While it's common consensus that both of them are brilliant, you don't need to be the brightest tool in the shed to see that Peter is the real genius. Such people are only born once a century. Not that I deny Andre has talent, but Peter has drowned his gift in Twyrun long ago, and it's become glaringly obvious that Andre is nothing without him. Now, Andre believes that it is his duty to protect Peter and serve as a middleman between the harsh reality and the drunkard brother. Both of them are rabid villains. Bonus points to Peter for also being a murderer. No matter what his creative achievements are, I would have ended him long ago were he not almost completely deranged. Wild, cruel, disruptive. 400 years ago, this type of artists were more than satisfied with using a knife for a brush and blood for paint. This is the kind of people that believe that creativity absolves any sin.